Hi everyone, it's Paul and welcome back to the video for the fourth and final day of the 2021 Cheltenham Festival. What a frenetic 3 days. I can't believe the last 3 days have gone by so quick. Obviously today, Thursday's just passed, and a bit of a wrecker of a day today, to be honest, with some really good performances. The likes of Allaho in particular was absolutely breathtaking. And Flooring Porter in the stairs hurdle, really good. Obviously, there were some setbacks along the way. Obviously, losing Envoy Allen so early into the race before he could show what he could do. That was a big blow to the race, that, to be honest with you. And yeah, it was a very frustrating day. But we have one more day left, which is Friday. And as always, on the Friday, we kick off in the 120, which is the Triumph Hurdle, Grade 1 over 2 miles. It's a very small field, which has been the theme of the week, this, for the Triumph Hurdle, and it's hard to make a case for anything outside the top four in the market, to be honest with you. Tritonic for Alan King, Adrian Heskin. This horse has been really impressive in his 2 starts, including in the Adonis, and that was on just his second start as well. The form of that, how good that is, I do not know, because second in that race and on his debut was a horse called Casa Lupi. And that horse earlier this week I think it was on Monday at Stratford, got overturned in a Class 3 at 2 to 9 very easily. So you can only beat what's in front of you and put in the times, which he did. But I suppose if you put a line through it, I'm not 1,000,000%. And especially with a lot of the Irish taking everything by storm this week, you've got to worry about what's lurking on the other side of the Irish Sea. Quilixios, I don't know how to pronounce that, Quilixio. Henry de Bromhead, Rachel Blackmore, 4 from 4 over hurdles, including a Grade 1 on his latest. And obviously, the story of the festival has been this Henry de Bromhead, Rachel Blackmore combination. And she's on to be champion jockey for the festival. I think she's already on 5 wins as well, which is a staggering performance, especially considering she's been dumped on the ground a load of times. She's having the festival of her life, Rachel Blackmore, and I think she's got a lot more festivals like this ahead of her. As I said, this is 4 from 4, easy Grade 1 latest. The slight worry I've got is all of the known form is on soft and heavy ground and has actually been withdrawn a few times on good to soft ground. So while I think he's obviously got the class, this horse, to lay it up and be right there, I just worry someone's going to have a little bit too much toe for him. The other British horse with a chance is Adagio for Martin Pipe, Tom Scudamore. This horse is 3 from 4, including a course and distance trial win. Did that very well, even though the race did kind of fall apart from a late non-runner of the favourite in that one. He was then an easy winner of a Group 1 at Chepstow, beating both Nasalam and Hugri. Both of them went on to run half-decent races in the Fred Winter. This horse has got a bit of proven form on good ground as well. So I actually think this has got a little bit more to come. And with Tritonica around 11 to 4, Quixelos around 3 to 1, Adagio at around 8 to 1, I think is a good each way bet if you're having a look at that. But for the win, I think it's very hard to get away from Zana here, to be honest with you, for Denise Foster, Jack Kennedy taking the ride. 3 from 3, including a Group 2 at Leopardstown. Comfortably beat on that one the likes of St. Sam and Bustleton, both of which, so it's a very similar line of form as Adagio, but certainly St. Sam went very close in the Fred Winter. Was a winner of a Group 3 before that. This horse is clearly progressing at a rate of knots and got some really good flat pedigree in the breeding as well, suggesting the faster ground and this very much, which is going to be a speed test of a Triumph, will be right up his alley. 1, 2, 3 then for the 120, the Triumph Hurdle, Zanahia from Adagio and Quilixius. The 155 is the County Handicap Hurdle, a Grade 3 over 2 mile, and as always, it's a complete horror story with a mixture of... To be honest, it's been hard to weigh up with a lot of these horses being entered up to 6 times at the start of the week. So until like about an hour and a half ago, you still don't know who's going to turn up, really. The favourite is Champagne Gold for Henry de Bromhead and Rachel Blackmore. Very consistent horse. and I think will get the race run to suit. The worry I've got is hasn't won in any of the last 6 starts and continues to run well, but edge up the weights. Even though we've probably got a lot more to come, edging up the weights without winning is always a big concern of mine. Another one who I think could run well, but might just finish out the frame is Third Time Lucky for Harry and Dan Skelton. Came 4th in the champion bumper last year, and obviously that form's looking rock solid now. 3 from 5 wins over hurdles so far. Has a nice weight, and the yard has won this 3 times in the last 5 years, but it's been won by more lower weighted horses. The sadly now departed Mahayed always springs to mind in this. Lovely type of horse for that race. And I think this horse will run well, Third Time Lucky, but I just think there could be some more lurking around here that this might suit a bit better. One who you've got to back, it's not the selection, but I think 33 to 1 on this horse is ridiculous. And that is Build Me Up Buttercup for Willie Mullins, with Danny Mullins taking the ride. Gets in off 10 stone at very, very low weight for starters. Came 4th in this last year, having touched odds on in running. Got a bit shorter room towards the last and then didn't quite quicken up from there. Only, as I said, £1 higher than this last year, on the back of what it seems to be 2 poor races recently. However, I'm not saying a game is afoot, but go on the Racing Post website and read the Racing Post's comments on Build Me Up Buttercup on both of his last 2 starts. It's moved into contention 2 out, driven, tenderly handled over the last flight of hurdles and eased off. Both of them identical, travel well, and then, just running on under a hand ride, tenderly handled. As a result of that, around the turn of the year, this is the other thing, at the turn of the year, Build Me Up Buttercup won a race, beating Black Tears, who went on and won the Mears Hurdle, and LMA, who is really, really fancied for the Mears Chase. So that looks like being rock solid form. And if it was that form going into this race, he would have been racing, I believe, off around 11 stone 2. Instead, he's off 10 stone 8. So those 2 poor runs have dropped his mark by about £6-7. And at 33 to 1, I think there's a lot worse each way bets, with many bookmakers paying top 6 in this as well. Another horse that I think is overpriced is Gowell Road for Sam and Nigel Twiston Davis. He's improving fast and has been really strong at the finish, twice at Newbury. Newbury's a big galloping track, and I like to see that staying on towards the end. I think the course will suit. I would have liked to see a few more runs into him, get a bit more battle hardy, I would say, on this one. But I think he's improving fast, and I think he's got a great chance. Break for a drink. But for the selection, I am actually going for the Willie Mullins first string on paper, which is Ganapathy for Willie Mullins and Paul Townend. Clearly didn't stay 2 miles 6 behind Galliard Dominique on his latest start, but a good, and that was a good grade too. He was a second behind Drill Deal over 2 mile. And that horse was quite fancied for the champion hurdle before obviously meeting with a setback. The yard love this race. 10 stone 11 is a lovely weight. And as I said, good form in a grade 2 over this trip. Ignore the latest over 2 miles 6. The yard don't necessarily win this race, but they always have very good horses running in it and ones that are well weighted. And as I said, 10 stone 11, a lot more to come. Proven grade form. I just think Ganapathy might just have a few too many gears for these. 1, 2, 3 then for the county hurdle. Ganapathy from Gowell Road and Build Me Up Buttercup. 2:30 next, which is the Albert Bartles Novices Hurdle, grade 1 over 3 mile. I'm really disappointed this year. There's nothing out on this already. There seems to be a lot of... Usually there's a horse coming through with like a potential, like an Envoy Allen or something like that. Here, there's a lot of exposed horses, I would say, for novices. Good form, but nothing I don't think is necessarily lurking. The favourite here looks like being Statler for the Mullins Townend combination. And you can understand why, because he's got some top form, including a grade 1 in the book. But he's also been turned over twice in the last 12 months at odds on. So while the balance of probability is saying he's going to run a decent race, and if they're going to have him bang on, it's going to be for the festival, At around 3-1, 3.5-1, I think that's plenty short enough, to be honest with you, for a horse that, is a bit in and out, but has clearly got the class, but risk attached. Second favourite is Fakierra for Foster and Keith Donoghue combination. The best form over a staying trip was about fifth, but still 2 lengths behind Statler. He would need to come on about another £6 to get ahead of Statler based on that form over 3 mile. Chance that can happen, but again, with Statler not being necessarily the most consistent, I can still see that one still finishing ahead of Fakierra. The money for the last 2 weeks has been for Barbados Bucks for Paul Nicholls and Harry Cobden, and you can kind of see why. Home trained, 3 from 3 at this trip, but all of it is in much, much lower races, Class 2s and Class 3s. This is a Grade 1, and hasn't exactly been won by half the length of the track that you'd expect. It's been 3/4 of a length and neck. I've heard he's come on a lot, but he would have to come on a hell of a lot for me, and for that reason he doesn't make the frame. The one who was almost the selection here was Tory Graf for Denise Foster and Jack Kennedy taking the ride. His form has definitely gone up to the next level since being up to 2 mile 6, 3 mile the last twice. He's got bags of stamina, that is clear. But if the ground was softer, I would have been a little bit more confident. I think this one's an out-and-out stayer. I think he'll be staying on towards the end, but I just wonder if there's something that's going to be able to tap him for toe. And I think I've found that in a horse called Streets of Doyen for John McConnell. Simon Torrance taking the ride. Big moment for him. This horse is 4 from 6 this season, including a course and distance win. And that what I loved about that day is how well he picked up and stayed up the hill. On the new course here, so it's a bit more stamina laden than, speed laden than stamina laden. But I think this horse has got very solid form. Forget the latest, as that was over 2 miles, and he clearly needs a trip. This is 3 mile. He's got a bit of flat speed, very tough horse, and 10-1 I think is overpriced. I think that's a good price for the contest, really. 1, 2, 3 then for the Albert Bartlett, Streets of Doyen from Tory Graf and Statler. Which brings us on to the big one, which is the 305, which is the Cheltenham Gold Cup, a Group 1 over 3 mile 2. This is a very interesting renewal this year because obviously looks like we're going to get good ground, and there's a couple of, basically none of the novices coming through seem to be that special, so it's more about the older campaigners. We're going to mention the honourable runs first. First of all, you've got to mention the 2 tried and tested front runners, my old friend Native River, Colin Tizard, Richard Johnson taking the ride, and the ever admirable Frodon, Paul Nicholls and Bryony Frost. Frodon obviously took form to a whole new level in the King George. Amazing to see, and has a lot of form here, but is definitely at his best when he can dominate. And I think there's going to be a hell of a lot of pressure on the lead here for Frodon, for all he's a tough little horse. Native River will be able to lay up. He doesn't have to front run, but his best form, no doubt about it, is usually attached to soft and heavy ground, and he's not going to get it here. I think he'll run admirably for a long way, but even the bookies have drifted him right out to 16, 18-1, I think it is at the moment, because the ground has definitely gone. Royal Pagali as well, or Pagiel, I don't know how to pronounce that. Venetia Williams, Charlie Deutsch, been one of the most improved runs I've ever seen from a horse at this level this season. Gone from very average to very, very good in a short period of time. Though again, I think his chances are under threat because of the faster going. He manages to get held up and get his jumping going. I just think they're going to take him out of his comfort zone here. Which is a shame because I was looking forward to seeing how he'd get on. Manila Indo obviously looked at one point, tipped him up last year like he was going to win the RSA before being gunned down very, very late on by Champ. Obviously got into a sustained duel last year for the lead and paid the price. And the problem is I think he's going to have to get involved in a duel for the lead again this year. Showed some good form up until Christmas. But he had a really heavy fall at Leopardstown and then only came 4th next time. Seemed a bit subdued, didn't fence as well. Wonder if something was bothering him. And the other one you've got to mention here is my old mate Santini. Everyone knows this is a horse of love. I've actually backed him anti-post, everyone will know. Last year, I actually said on the follow-up video to the festival, get on him now for next year at 20-1, which I did. Got a bit more at 16s. At the start of the season, sitting pretty when he was about 5-1, but obviously with the drying gown, back out to 12-1, so I'm almost as better off not having it anti-post, but such is life. More of a concern for me is that he just hasn't been the same form this year to me. I was at Aintree when he came second, and I think he would have easily won if they were jumping hurdles that day, but there was like a 7 furlong running because of the sun. 3 mile in the King George, it was too much of a speed test. He stayed on. And then in the revised Cotswold Chase at Sandown, I was a little bit disappointed. He stayed on, but it was still disappointing. And I would have liked to have seen a lot more heading into this. I do always worry as well that sometimes the horses that run well in the RSA in recent years sometimes don't go on. Champ, I think, will go on, though. And I think Nicky Henderson, Nico de Boinville taking the ride, sending this horse over 2 miles to Newbury for the Game Spirit, where it came second under a cracking run behind So Royale, who I think would have gone very, very close to winning the Queen Mother if it didn't nearly get brought down on the flat coming down the hill and losing all momentum. I think that is what got me that day is how well Champ jumped, and I think that would have sharpened him up no end. This horse has bags of stamina. He is prone to jumping mistakes, but he stays all day. I think Champ is going to hit the frame, but with the not soft ground like you had last year, it's going to be better ground. He might be running on when a lot have cried enough, but who knows if it will be late enough. Album Photo, I think, will go very close, going for this memorable hat-trick, the same as the likes of Best Mate in recent years. Willie Mullins, Paul Townend, they're following a tried and tested route, went out on New Year's Day, won an egg and spoon race, with no real opposition, and then put him away for this. The slight concern I've got is he's another year older, and last time he had a couple of runs before coming the Gold Cup. This year he's only got one. Is he going to be ready for this? He seems to go well fresh. He knows his way around here. He's won a Gold Cup on better ground. I think he's going to be right there, but I do think that there is a young up-and-comer on the scene here that is ready to stamp his authority on it. And it is that combination again of Henry de Bromhead and Rachel Blackmore, and that is A Plutar. Everyone remember I tipped this up 2 years ago in a novice chase and it won by, half a furlong. And I said, I have heard from different people I know that this is a serious, serious horse. And that proved to be the case. Was a bit disappointing in the Ryanair, I think it was last year. But this year, taking his form to a whole new level, especially at Leopardstown, when he proved that he finally has stamina. The worry was, would he stay? Would he stay? At 1 year time last year, they were talking about dropping him back for the Queen Mother, but they've decided to keep the staying route. But it was that late rattle at Leopardstown in terrible ground, where, bearing in mind his best form is on good ground, he managed to stay and show a turn of foot. The yard is on absolute fire at the moment, and this horse since then has been kept fresh and laid out for this. And I think we are about to see a new kid on the block in the Gold Cup. And I have a feeling it's going to be A Plutar. 1, 2, 3 then for the 305, the Gold Cup, A Plutar from Album Photo and Champ. Moving on now to the 340, which is the Fox Hunter Chase over 3 mile 2. To be honest, there's been some races taken out the festival this year to add races. If they knew early enough, you could have got rid of this, because this is just basically a weaker Gold Cup, because this used to be for amateur riders and now it's not. So I'm not going to spend a great deal of time on this. This is all about one horse anyway, which is Bill Away for Willie Mullins and Paul Townend. Came second in this last year, cruised around, but it was a great ride on It Came to Pass, whose jockey booted away dead early, and Bill Away stayed on but was caught tap for toe. That is a danger that can happen with not as experienced amateur riders. He's been in even better form this season, and I think everything is in position for him to go one better. Bob and Co for Paul Nicholls and Harry Cobden is 3 from 4 in Hunter Chases. Nothing of this standard, and the worry for me is all of his runs have been in like 4 and 3 and 5 horse races. A lot more horses to worry about here, a higher class. I think he's plenty short enough at 7-2. You've got to mention it came to pass. Last year's shock 66-1 winner, Eugene O'Sullivan trains, Richie Mclean taking the ride. As I said, won this on merit. It was a cracking ride from his young jockey, took the initiative late on, off he went, nothing could get near him, but has done absolutely nothing since then. And he's as short as 7-1. I'm sure he's being trained for the day, but I like form. And he's he had no form going into that last year, and he's had none since. So if he was 66-1 again, you might think, oh, he might recapture it fine, but not at 7-1 for me. Staker Wallace, one of two for JP McManus. Ender Bolger trains, Mark Walsh taking the ride. He's consistent, but he's twice been held in the last year, including by Billaway in this. He's been held twice, including in this race last year, by Billaway, the horse. So he's going to have a great deal. I think he could run well because I think it's a strong form line, but he's going to have to find more to turn the form with Billaway or hope that one doesn't complete. The Danger, I think, is a big price. The other JP McManus horse, also trained by Ender Bolger, which is Stand Up and Fight. Darragh O'Keefe taking the ride. He actually beat Billaway first time out this season, which is probably the time if you're going to beat Billaway. He does seem to need a run. He'd been comfortably held by Billaway next time out then, but that was over 2 mile 5 and he was staying on. And he was a close second over 3 mile 1 latest, really picking up well towards the end. So I think this trip's ideal. He actually came sixth in this race in 2019 under an uncharacteristically terrible ride by Derek O'Connor, one of the best amateurs around. He just left it too late and he was flying up the hill. And at around 20-1, I think if he gets the ride right here, Darragh O'Keefe, who's got some great winning rides around this course, actually, for a young jockey, I think he could be the big danger staying on towards the end. But on known form, Billaway's got it. He's in good form this year. He's proven that he can run well in this race, and I think he'll take a lot of stopping. 1, 2, 3 then for the 4-10, the Fox Hunter Chase, Billaway from Stand Up and Fight and Staker Wallace. 4:15 is a new race for the festival, which is the Mers Chase, Grade 2, 2 mile 5. It's a small field, and it's hard to get away from the first 4 in the market again. Honourable mention for Magic of Light, Jessie Harrington, Robbie Power. She's obviously a very good horse, second in the Grand National in 2019 and very consistent over both hurdles and fences in the 2 years since then. Very good win latest and, as I said, does very little wrong. But I think 2 mile 5 around here is going to be plenty short enough. 3 miles seems to be the minimum she wants in a proper race this day, probably more 3.5. And I think she'll run well for a long way, but may just get caught tap for toe. Shattered Love is interesting for Denise Foster, Jack Kennedy, was an amazing winner of the JLT in 2018 and looked to have the world at her feet at that point. However, has only won 2 from 17 since then and is well held by my selection for this race, which is LMA last time out. Couldn't lay a glove on her at all. She does like the course. This is a weaker race as she's tried for a while, I would say. But on the balance of form, 2 wins in 17 suggests good for a place, probably not the win. One who would go close on ratings, but I've got a big question mark. But as I said, this is a poor race, is Cole Reevy for Willie Mullins and Paul Townend. 3 for 3 this year, and she is clearly a better chaser over a trip than the 2 miles, hurdles, etc. that she's been running over. The worry for me is that she has run twice at the course. And as I said, she's a better chaser than hurdler. But on both starts at the course, she was shocking, finishing well down the field, beaten well into double figure lengths. I think she's probably stronger. I think she's probably a better chaser. And even if she runs as, poorer, even like 8-10 pound poorer than what she's done, it's probably still enough to finish in the places. But for the win, we're going for the Walsh, Mullins and Mark Walsh combination of Ellie May. Very close second in January to Allaho, only beaten a couple of lengths. After what Allaho did today in the Ryanair, that is probably the most solid piece of form you'll see on display at the festival today. He then followed that up, or she followed that up then with an easy listed chase win not long after that. Kept fresh since. This horse jumps, she travels, she's got form in the book. Willie Mullins obviously usually has very, very good horses in these Mers races. even though you wouldn't have thought it today after the Dawn run. And I just think Ellie May, he's currently around 11 to 10. By the time this video gets listed, which given my intent will take about 5 years, I think this will probably be odds on. But 1, 2, 3 for the 4:15, the Mears Chase, Ellie May from Reevy and Shattered Love. Which now brings us to the 4:50, which is the Depression Stakes, as I always call it. The Martin Pipe Conditional, Jockeys, Handicap Hurdle, Class 2 over 2 mile 4, and this year the final race of the festival. Always sad, this one, the last half hour, because you think 366 days to go. But I've got to be honest, next year's festival will be a whole nother level. Touch wood, there will be fans at the festival next year, and I think Cheltenham will make it bigger and better than ever. But let's see if we can go out on a bang here with this 4:50. The favourite, I kind of understand why, is Gentleman de Me. Willie Mullins, Simon Torrance taking the ride. He was an easy winner on his sole start in Ireland since coming over from France. However, off one run has been allotted 11 stone 6 off the back of one win. Now, he could be anything, but this horse is currently 11 to 4, 3 to 1 in places. That is massively short for a horse who's had one win, unless there's been a load of talking about it that I'm not aware of. I think he'll run well. He could easily win, but I could not be taking 3 to 1 about that. The selection that I've gone for is actually, those who follow the WhatsApp service will know, I tipped up in the weekend, and that is Langadan for the Dan Skelton and Lorcan Williams taking the ride. As I said, he won the Group 3 Imperial, hard held at the weekend, and he got badly hampered on the bend, and then literally just toyed with them all the way up the straight. Yes, this is different ground, but he was good in this. He was a good 6 in the Fred Winter last year, staying on probably a bit too late. This trip is an unknown, but he does handle better ground, so I think it's going to be a bit of an offset. And he gets in off 11 stone 2, avoids a lot of the penalty for the weekend, and if obviously they're not coming back here for a laugh, basically. And I just think Langadan is very much a horse on the improve. An overpriced horse is Frontal Assault for Denise Foster. Gainford taking the ride, obviously got a great win on the shunter today. Won a Group 3 over 3 mile on his latest, and this horse is a clear stayer, just keeps on finding at the end. I think 2 mile 4 is plenty short enough, but he's got a good conditional on him here, and he will be staying on at the end. Now, this is one of those weird races where the conditional riders can ride, amateurs can't, but they can still go too fast. If that's the case, Frontal Assault will be making a full bid for the front late on here. Currently around 20 to 1. That's overpriced, with a lot of bookmakers again paying top 6 on this. He's got 11 stone 3. As I said, he's a Grade 3 winner. I think that's a fair mark, and I think he could run well. Another horse that I think is going to make the frame, and I think is flying under the radar here, is Mill Green for Nicky Henderson. Joe Anderson taking the ride. He came 6th in this last year, despite not really travelling at any point and badly being hampered twice. One at the top of the hill, one at 2 out. Came 6th, only beaten about 4 or 5 lengths. Brilliant run. He was then off until 2021 when he came back and won a Jumpers Bumper. Oh, no, he didn't. He came 5th in a Jumpers Bumper. Only beaten about 2.5 lengths. Very solid effort. He then came 4th in a very good chase, won by Enrillo, and in second was Holden Note, who became, he was tipped up and obviously got placed today in the Kim Muir, and that was a really solid run. So that is very good form in the book. He's back over hurdles today off a lower mark, and I think there's more to come from this horse. 28 to 1, I can certainly see him running into the top 6, if not into the top 3, which is why he's making the selection. So 1, 2, 3 then for the 4:50, the Martin Pipe Conditional Jockeys Handicap Hurdle, the final race of the festival, Langadan from Frontal Assault and Mill Green. So that's it, guys. 4 days done, 4 days down. It's been a very tough festival, but as always, it's just great. I love it. Love the festival. Best week of the year. Win, lose or draw. It gives you something to look forward to all winter, doesn't it? Let's face facts. Thanks so much for watching all the 4 days. Thanks so much to everyone for the comments that you're leaving. And yeah, I'll see you next year. Take care. Bye-bye.